I just finished the first SOCOM game, and to be honest, I was pretty blown away by it. In this video, I want to show you why, and convince you that you need to play it, especially if you're not familiar with the series. The SOCOM series was huge on the PS2. There are 4 games in total, and they went from the start of the console all the way to the end. But I never really hear people talk about them. Yeah, SOCOM has its fans, but I feel like you either know about SOCOM and love it, or you don't know about it. Well, today, you're gonna know about it. I want to do a deep dive into the series, starting with the first game. I also just want to see for myself how the games have aged. I did play these back in the day, and I remember thinking that Combined Assault was maybe the best, but I know 2 is the fan favorite, so let's see. Another big reason for these videos is to highlight the campaigns. The multiplayer is what the series is known for, but I think the campaigns are some of the best on the console, and they do not get enough love. So if you're familiar with Ghost Recon or Rainbow Six, before Ubisoft killed those franchises, then you already kinda know what game SOCOM is. It's a tactical shooter where you command 3 other squad mates taking on bad guys across the world. Anyway, before every mission, you'll get a narrated overview, some mission info, and your objectives. You can also change your and your squad's loadout. Now, it's nice to have the option, but the weapon variety is, well, the weapon variety is actually not bad. It's more so that the silenced M4 does it all. It's quiet, it's accurate, you can snipe with it, and you can go full assault with it. It does everything. This kinda gets fixed once you hit New Game Plus, which is hilarious to say. You wouldn't think a tactical shooter would have a New Game Plus, as if it's an RPG, but yeah, it does. You play through the campaign once with the seal weapons, but after you beat that campaign, you can replay it on a harder difficulty and use the bad guy weapons. So, if you're asking if I gave my entire team M79 grenade launchers, then yeah, of course I did.
Remember to keep out of sight, keep a low profile, and remain silent if you do not want to be detected by the terrorists.
I think they suspect something, sir.
So all of this to say is that your first run through can be a little dull as far as weapons go. You do have a couple machine guns, submachine guns, snipers, and of course assault rifles to choose from, but you're gonna want the M4 most of the time. One thing I love about the mission briefing is the map. It's always in universe, so it'll be things like hand-drawn or schematics, stuff like that. It adds a lot to the mood, and it feels like you're really grabbing any relevant intel you can. Before every mission, you'll usually get a cutscene that kinda sets things up. There's not really a story, but there is context, I would say, if that makes sense. It sets things up for why you're there and what you're doing. The game is also super by the books. It's actually a bit sterile, in my opinion, and it almost feels like it was made by the US military. It gives me the same feeling that America's Army did, that old FPS game. If you're familiar with that, then you'll know that was a good game, but it also felt a little soulless, or lacking character. I think the first SOCOM is kinda similar. Both games are great, but I feel like they're missing a human element to them. Like America's Army, it's very straightforward. We are the good guys, and we stop bad guys. The bad guys are the bad guys because they're doing gun smuggling, kidnapping people, whatever general bad guy stuff there is to do. And I feel like SOCOM's earnestness is kinda rare in games in a weird way. This earnestness would eventually morph into games like Call of Duty. SOCOM plays it straight while Call of Duty gleefully rolls around in the blood. And then later down the line, you get games like Spec Ops: The Line, which parodied that Call of Duty glee. So I just feel like it's refreshing going all the way back to a game that has a seriousness to its subject matter. All the characters here are presented as professionals. They make human banter, but at the end of the day, this is just a job for them. I appreciate that, and I feel like it adds a lot to the mysticism surrounding Navy SEALs. The game also includes a pretty lengthy documentary about the Navy SEALs. It's done in a positive, kind of biased light, but not overly so.
This little piece of lettuce in a real-life situation could give you away!
As soon as the mission loads, you can use the gimmick of the game's single player. Now, I say gimmick, but I don't mean it in a negative connotation. See, the game actually came in this chunky box. That's because inside was a headset. It has an earpiece and a microphone, and I'm pretty sure this is the first official Sony microphone for the PlayStation. I didn't research this, but I also think SOCOM was one of the first, if not the first, online PS2 game. But anyway, guess how you command your squad? You use the mic because you gotta give voice commands, which sounds like a nightmare, but it actually works great. Team, fire at will.
Going hot.
Team, hold fire.
Going cold.
Team, hold position.
Hoo-yah!
Team, fire at my crosshair.
I'll take it from here. Dropped him.
Imagine if games today had voice interactivity that wasn't trash. Maybe it doesn't work well, and that's why. Maybe SOCOM's an outlier, an enigma. Regardless, it gives the game a lot of heart. I'm not gonna lie and say I used it the entire time, since you can also just tap circle for a list and then select a command from there. But either way, it's super convenient. There's even a few secret commands you can use, but those are secret, so I can't tell ya. So talking to your teammates is cool, but you know what else is cool? It's the fact that your handler and teammates talking back to you is actually played through the headset. Their audio will only come through the headset in your ear, assuming it's enabled, of course.
Team, this is HQ. Work quickly and quietly to secure the barge. You won't get a warm welcome if you're discovered.
We've got the swim behind us. Let's get to work. We need to cut off their communications, get the intel, and sink this ship. Let's not attract too much attention.
I've worked up my Russians, sir. I can tell you what they're saying.
It seems so small, but it does add a lot to the operator feel. And you gotta remember, this is a game from 2002. It's one of the first PS2 games, and they were already doing really advanced shit like this. And it works. Another great feature is that you can actually play the entire game in first or third person. It's up to you. The only difference is that first person, you have no gun model on screen. It feels retro in that way, if that makes sense. It was less work for the devs, and you can see more of the environment, so baddies don't sneak up on you. Thanks, Boomer. So this is Boomer. He's my buddy, and us together, we make up Alpha Team. Like your mother, he never leaves my side. You can tell him to stay put, but if you get far enough away, he'll come running. We also have Jester and Spectre. They make up Bravo Team. These two you can tell what to do. Stay here, provide covering fire, stealth, or attack to somewhere. It's useful, and they're actually really good at it too. The AI in this game is pretty dang good, except for when they're blocking doorways. They'll make enemy callouts with a clock direction thingy. I don't know what the name is, but you know when people say like 12 o'clock, 7 o'clock, that sort of thing? They do that. They're also pretty dang good at taking out targets and not being seen. You never feel like you're babysitting them. It can be frustrating if they get one hit melee killed, but what can you do? By that I mean, if you run up on an enemy, you'll get the option to quickly one-tap melee kill them. But you gotta keep in mind, they can do the same to you, so watch out for that. You can also use this same quick selection context menu thing to pick up enemy guns, and even to move and hide bodies for extra stealth. As for hiding bodies, I never did it because it takes too long. Also, this isn't Splinter Cell. Enemies need to actually find the bodies to call them in, which never happens. So that's all well and good, but feature number 3 I want to talk about is the ability to lean. You can lean your body not only left, but right as well. Oh my god. But wait, there's more. You can do this in both first and third person. And you can do it from a standing, crouch, or prone position. Like the other features, it's actually pretty useful too. It stuck out to me because you never see leaning in console games. PC, sure, but not console. It's one of the many little things I just love about this game, like the fact that you leave footprints in the snow and sand, it uses real-time shadows, you can shoot lights out, which affects the gameplay and your ability to be sneaky. Again, it's not Splinter Cell, but it's awesome it's here. There's also the fact that your spent cartridges after firing a bullet, well, they make sound, and the sound that they make depends on the surface that they hit. There's also the smoke coming out of your barrel after firing, the breath from your characters on cold levels. Alive characters will blink, dead characters won't blink. If you're shot, you'll leave a trail of blood behind you while moving. It'll actually pool beneath you. The fact that you can kill Boomer when his dumbass blocks the doorway for the 73rd time, finally causing you to snap and lose connection to reality.
Commander, Boomer has been incapacitated.
There's so much thought and care put into this dumb game. I love it. But all anyone knows is that, oh my god, the multiplayer, I want to play on Desert Glory. I think that was the second game. But you get my point. Play the campaign, damn it. It's fantastic. Anyway, let's talk about that. So you start off the first mission on a ship or a boat, I don't know the difference, and I refuse to learn. This boat's got bad guys on it. That's the important part. It's also a great environment to learn about the gameplay, which I'll get into in a bit because I got some things to say. Anyway, what I love about this is that it does act as a tutorial, but it tells you to do something and then you gotta do it. It's interactive, rather than just dumping text on you telling you what to do. It's the perfect environment to see how all the game systems work and interact with each other. As for the campaign itself, it's split into 4 different bad guy organizations you gotta take out. It's got 3 missions each for a total of 12 missions. After which again, you get to do New Game Plus with more guns and a harder difficulty. The first group is the Iron Brotherhood, which isn't the name of my Warhammer 40k Space Marine chapter. It's actually a group made up of former Spetsnaz. These guys are bad because they're selling and buying guns illegally. We intercept their ship off the coast of Alaska and kick their shit in. In that, I mean we murder a ton of people. Thank God I'm on the good guy's side because I'm telling you, it's quite the body count. The captain and his first mate too. Y'all are lucky there's no women or children on this vessel. This level teaches you to learn how to use your team. For example, at the end, you gotta plant bombs to scuttle the ship. But you can only carry 1, and this job requires 2, so you need to command one of your teammates to deploy theirs as well. On the ship, we also find a map and some intel about where their HQ is. Turns out they're holding up in an abandoned town in Alaska. This is mandatory to find, but later on, you'll find intel that affects future missions. For example, you can find a map that'll upgrade your map in the next level. It's like a very, very, very light version of Metal Gear Solid 5, how operations kinda connect and affect one another. Or in Freedom Fighters, if you're familiar with that game, which you should because it's awesome. I have an old video about it on my channel. Go watch that video and then play that game. Holy crap. What I'm trying to say is that this game has similar stuff too. Okay, so I love this stuff. It makes the world feel way more cohesive, and it incentivizes you to explore and 100% these levels, rather than just rush through them. After scuttling the ship, it's off to their base. Now this level teaches you some sniping, and it works well enough. If you wait for a second, the scope swaying will stop. But my only gripe is that chest shots are basically never a one-hit kill. You can do headshots, but they're really difficult. Also, this is kind of a realism gripe, but I'm pretty sure there's no armed force in the world that is ever training for its people to do headshots. I've never served in any armed forces, but I'm pretty sure snipers are trained to never aim for the head outside of something of maybe a super hyper-specific context, which isn't happening here. So yeah, I'm not a fan of that. I think a sniper should drop a guy with a single shot to the chest. It's good gameplay, and it's realistic, which is what SOCOM's going for, so just let me shoot him in the chest. If you play this level stealthily, is that a word? Stealthfully? I don't know. Anyway, you'll face less guys, and you can grab some mandatory intel more easily. Okay, whatever. But if you let them trigger the alarm, guys will spawn on the map and come after you, and then they'll start destroying the intel, which can actually result in a mission failure if you're not fast enough. Now, if you want, there's a generator that you can turn off, and if you turn it off, this disables the alarms, but you gotta sneak to it, of course. And if you want, you can blow up the outhouse and make it rain shit. Jester will even make a comment about it. This game, man. That reminds me, I completely forgot about gimmick or feature number 4. I think we're on 4. Anyway, that's that Jester, your buddy, is a polyglot. He can translate enemy speech for you. So if you get close to them while being sneaky and they don't notice you, you'll get subtitles. Sometimes this info is useful, but if Jester is incapacitated, you don't get no subtitles. This really incentivizes me to not mag dump into him when he blocks doorways, which I'm still gonna do anyway, cause fuck this guy. Another downside is the pathfinding. It's not terrible, but it could be better. For example, in the second level, we need to secure a turncoat and then bring him back to the evac zone with us. It's not terrible, but it could be better. After finishing a level, you'll get a rating breakdown of your stats and how you did. But again, like the pathfinding, it's a bit wonky. It'll give super high stealth ratings, and if you saw my gameplay, I'm not stealthy. Third level has you finally taking out the Iron Brotherhood. They've taken over an oil rig, which is probably the worst thing you can do to the US government. They've set bombs around, and you gotta find them via sound. You can tell Bravo Team to defuse any that you find, or you can do it yourself. You also need to rescue some hostages and kill the Iron Brotherhood leader.
Good work, Commander. You've located the oil workers. They'll be safe behind this door until the area is clear.
Fourth level introduces the new baddies for the next 3 missions. These guys are called the Ritter Rouge, and they're based out of Thailand. One thing that this game does a great job at is changing up the locales. You got snow, ships, oil rigs, the jungle, it's got it all. Anyway, I won't get too into the campaign because like I said, it's not like there's a big plot or anything other than, hey, these are the bad guys and what they're doing, okay, now go stop them. Also, I want to talk more about the gameplay. So these guys take a US ambassador hostage, and you gotta rescue him. To do that, you head to Angkor Wat, which is awesome. I love that it's in the game, because what a cool place to have firefights in. You head into this really massive temple complex, get their leader, and retrieve a biological agent that they managed to make. I also love the little environmental storytelling. You'll find playing cards and food on tables, campfires, just little things that make the world feel much more alive. It's not a, but what do they eat situation like in Fallout 3. Calling it environmental storytelling might be giving too much credit, but I don't know, I think it's important. The next 3 sets of missions are against the Preemptive Strike, which may or may not be the name of my punk band. These guys are based in the Congo, and they're actually pretty cool because they're European mercenaries, so you'll get to hear a bunch of different accents speaking English. Mostly Australians, which I guess aren't Europeans, but you get my point.
We're going in! Let's go!
Enemy sighted. 12 o'clock.
Also, can we take a moment to appreciate how nice this game looks? God damn. Remember, this is 2002. Anyway, one mission has you destroying their munitions, and then the next, you're saving POWs from a camp, and then the last, which is destroying their base with the help of FA-18 fighter jets. It gets pretty difficult by the end. You really gotta know your stuff. Thankfully, when you do die, you can replay the mission with virtually no load times. The loading when you replay is stupid fast. It reminds me of Tony Hawk Pro Skater, which is always my go-to reference when I talk about reloading and trying again. You do need to start the mission from the beginning though. There are no checkpoints. I think that works the best here. The missions aren't particularly long, maybe 10 to 40 minutes each, depending on how stealthy you want to go. It just gives me that feeling that even if you do fail, you want to try again. It's fun to fail and run it again with a different approach or strategy. I never found it frustrating until Boomer blocks a doorway. The last 3 sets of missions are set in Turkmenistan against the Allah Sadikukahu, which I'm sure I nailed the pronunciation on. Anyway, first mission has you finding the one and only Mr. Pickle. Funniest shit you've ever seen.
We know Makek, codename Mr. Pickle. is in a dilapidated former Soviet detention center.
That's his code name anyway. Unfortunately, while rescuing him, an enemy Hind D comes to mess us up. Thankfully, I played Metal Gear Solid.
Team, behind has been destroyed.
Next level has you stopping a couple nukes from going off. No big deal. But then you get told to set the nukes off anyway? I think you gotta play the game to find out why. And last level, you're going to kill 2 cats, specifically Fat Cat and Kitten. They're code names for the 2 leaders of the Allah Sadi Kahu. Nailed it. And honestly, all these levels are just perfect. I can't compliment the design enough. One is a small base you gotta infiltrate, but it's up to you how. Another is an insane, constant Black Hawk Down styled firefight in a destroyed Middle Eastern city. They're also memorable and varied, and just so much fun to play. Like I said, the campaign doesn't have much in the way of story, but it's enough. The characters have some banter during missions, and there's some chatter to keep the game from feeling lonely or empty. I think it just needs more of a personality. Something that the sequel fixes, but we'll get to that in another video. But enough about the campaign. How's the gameplay? Well, I'm glad you asked, because it's awesome. Satisfying is an overused term, but there you go. I tried to think of why the gunplay feels so nice, and I think it's a few things. One is that blood will splatter behind enemies. It gives the sense that your bullets are actually traveling in the world space. Compounding this is that if your gun is blocked by something, your bullets won't land on your crosshair. You'll actually get this little marker on your screen letting you know where your shots will go. It connects your character to the game world in a really unique way I don't see in games. But don't worry about aiming too much. There's actually an auto-aim feature that you can toggle on or off, and it works really well. It's worth mentioning there's no bullet physics. This isn't Arma. It can be kind of annoying when your gun gets stuck on a doorway or something, but I think stuff like this goes above and beyond what most games do, so I appreciate it. One thing worth noting is that despite being Navy SEALs, you never swim. This too will change in the sequels, but I found it interesting enough to mention. Okay, so negatives. Well, stealth, actually. It's too slow. Holy Christ, it's too slow. This too will be fixed in later games. But in this game, you can crouch walk to be sneaky, but my god is it so slow. It's really the only thing keeping me from fully stealthing every level. Stealthing is usually something I only do with your mother, but I'd like to do it here too. I think you'll try to play it stealthy, but you'll lose patience for it. I also had issues with game brightness, but I don't remember having any of that as a kid playing this game, so that might be the emulator or my display or something, I'm not sure. I don't think it's really fair to blame the game. Another nitpick I have is that the guns are too samey. I mentioned it at the start, but the M4 is definitely the best, but it doesn't feel that different from like the HK or the MP5. Other than that though, I really do love this game, and I'm sad it hasn't gotten the recognition I think it deserves. The fanbase raves about the multiplayer, but I really think that's aged the worst. The campaign, meanwhile, still holds up as some of the best you can get on the PS2. And if you don't want to play it as a tactical game, maybe you hate stealth games for example, or maybe you hate taking things slow, then just play it as a shooter, that's fine too. It plays just as good as any console shooter you'll find. You can play it entirely as a solo FPS game if you want to, and why not? So again, I can't really recommend SOCOM 1 enough for anyone who likes shooters on the PS2.
Another victory for the red, white, and blue, sir.
The first SOCOM would go on to become the 34th highest selling game on the PS2, make a whole bunch of money, and like the movie Top Gun, probably get a lot of people to enlist in the armed forces. Thanks so much for watching, see ya!